James, if you would like to come down from Weird Stuff Retail Store respecting the proposed LRT and its impact on businesses. Cheryl, I'll just remind you that we are sticking to 5 minutes. I'll ring the bell at 4 so that you know you have a minute left, and I'll let you know when the minute's up.
I'm running.
Thank you.
Just give me 1 second, please. Thanks. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Are we good here? Can we hear? Okay. My name is Cheryl St. James. Thank you, Honourable Mayor Eisenberger and Council, for providing me with the opportunity to speak today. I was born and raised in Hamilton, a graduate of MAC, and a business owner in the core for 20 years. I live in the core. I shop in the core. I'm a hardcore Hamiltonian. I love this city, and I am proud to be here. I'm a strong supporter of public transportation who believes that we do need increased to advocate for the best possible public transportation system that $1 billion can buy. Effective transit is key to the prosperity and well-being of Hamilton and our local communities. When I first heard that our city was receiving $1 billion for an LRT, I was so excited. As excited as some of the people sitting in this room today, I'm sure. I was thinking, yes. And if anyone sitting in this room does that drive to Toronto, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. I'm thinking, yes, finally, modernize public transportation. But then I read the plan. What a disappointment. We've been saddled, ladies and gentlemen, with a deeply flawed plan. We can and we have to do better. Now, why do I believe that this plan is so deeply flawed? Councillor Green, let me tell you. Fact, LRTs can be successful when connected to key destination points like in Charlotte, North Carolina. McMaster is a key destination. The Queenston Traffic Circle is not. So why does the LRT end there? The plan we've been saddled with does not connect to enough essential destinations, Mr. Mayor. No GO, no LRT. The LRT does not even connect to the new GO station. They say it's only a 6-minute walk to the Hunter GO station. But for who? Seniors, pregnant women, families. What about in winter? What about our hot summers? Is this really how you would define accessibility? I wouldn't. Why would we want to spend $1 billion to build a disconnected, unsynchronized, inconvenient public transportation network? Fact, our LRT is really a glorified streetcar. Successful LRTs are built on standalone routes like in Salt Lake City or again Charlotte, North Carolina, not on roads. That's a streetcar. Trains are not meant to share the roads with emergency vehicles, trucks, cars, bikes, or pedestrians. Our plan even reduces the number of traffic lanes down to 1 in some areas on our busiest streets. A good plan increases transportation capacity. Our plan reduces it. Reducing traffic lanes by up to 50% on Main Street East will increase congestion, block emergency vehicles with no stopping, no loading, and no parking anywhere on the line. Cars will be diverted from our main thoroughfares to all of our residential side streets. We lose many of the bike lanes that we've worked so hard to implement and invested a lot of money in. Did you know that there will be no left turns onto our side streets? Fact, the current plan will not increase ridership levels. In fact, the experts have said that we don't even have the ridership levels to support a successful LRT. Same route, same riders. The current plan simply replaces a bus ride for a streetcar ride on Hamilton's highest revenue-generating bus line. We're just replacing one type of transportation system with another. Where is the gain, I ask? The plan is a missed opportunity, in my opinion, to benefit our transit-starved residents of the mountain and local communities on the Red Hill Link 403. Oh, and in Europe, yes, they have LRTs all over, but they connect from city to city to city. Ours does not. We really need to ask ourselves today, ladies and gentlemen, if this is the best possible public transportation that $1 billion can buy. A project of this magnitude that will impact the city for decades deserves the mandate of the people. The future of Hamilton is electric. Yes, we deserve that. But this deeply flawed plan does not take us and trolley buses, and we dismantled them for a reason. This plan in reality actually takes us back to the past. Although some of us in this room today do not see eye to eye, we do have a common ground. I know that we love our great city. However, the plan we've been saddled with will not deliver the promised benefits, Councillor Farr. This plan will cause physical, emotional, financial hardship to the people of Hamilton. In my heart, if I thought that this was the right plan for Hamilton, I would not be standing here today. Let's take a pause, Mr. Mayor, to revisit what the community wants and needs. The people of Hamilton deserve to have this as an election issue. Our city deserves the best possible plan that we can have, and this plan is not it. And that's why we need to say no to this plan, and yes, Council must refrain from moving forward with this plan when they do not even know the operating costs at this point. To do otherwise is irresponsible. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Aidan Johnson.
Sorry, if I may.
Can you wait?
Sorry.
Cheryl, just for some questions.
And thank you, and through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you,
We're on different sides of the debate, but I appreciate you coming forward.
Thank you.
Madam Deputy Mayor, the question is this. When Cheryl was referring to city-to-city connectivity, sorry, comparison of how transit works in different cities, or rather, were you talking about how the best transit systems connect city to city? I thought it was the latter, but I wanted to clarify.
Correct.
Right. It was a quick point. I know you didn't have a lot of time to expand on it. Just so thank you for that clarification. I have a comment that I would be pleased for you to respond to. So there's no question mark at the end of the sentence, if that makes sense. One of the good arguments for LRT, it seems to me, Madam Deputy Mayor, among several, is the argument that observes.
Madam Chair, we are now.
I promised to end with a question mark.
We're actually getting into debate. This is a question of the delegates. You're now into debate.
Councillor Johnson, could you make sure that what you're doing is asking a question
I
of the
promised to end
presenter?
with a question mark, and I thank Councillor Whitehead for his intervention.
Thank you. Carry on. You have the floor.
So, is it not the case that LRT will connect Hamiltonians to our GO network in a very important and significant way? Question mark.
That's a good question, Councillor Johnson, because our LRT actually pedestrianized walkway is not a connection. Again, it's a sweeping generalization to compare all LRTs across the world with Hamilton. Each city is specific and different.
Cheryl, could you just speak into the mic so that everyone can hear you?
Yes.
No problem.
Each city is different, so it's a sweeping generalization, and I would not really want to feel comfortable making $1 billion decision on the spot. But in Europe, LRTs do connect from city to city to city. So you're basically in Hamilton replacing the most serviced, efficient bus line that we have with another mode of transit. Councillor Johnson, to, for example, Toronto. Again, if anybody's done that ride to Toronto, a 55-minute drive is taking up to 2 hours currently. And the amount of emissions at Cawthra is higher probably than anywhere else in the city. So that's sort of where I'm going with it.
Thank you. And offline, I'll look forward to chatting with Cheryl about her claim that LRT does not connect Hamiltonians to the GO. I find it a false assertion. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. I have no further speakers, Cheryl.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councillor Whitehead.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that comment's unfortunate because there's going to be many delegates here today, and we may have different points of view. I would only respectfully suggest that that's exactly where should be left. We shouldn't be getting into debate.
Yes.
The question I have for you is this particular plan, the plan that and the concept that was voted on was from McMaster to Eastgate.
Correct.
Eastgate is going to be very close to the new GO transit station that's proposed. The interesting thing about Eastgate is that there is direct connectivity north-south to the mountain. Because the Eastgate component was removed.
Well, I'm looking at the plan currently that we have in front of us, Councillor Whitehead, so that's what I'm basing this flawed plan on. From my investigations from Salt Lake City and speaking to communications offices in North Carolina, Charlotte, with respect to how they've implemented their LRT, most cities that are successful do it on the outskirts of that city first. And then they move into the core. And respectfully, because of the businesses in the core, they will put it in an area where they still have lanes remaining on each side of the train so that you can access businesses, stop, load, and not interfere with emergency vehicles. In Salt Lake City, there's only one instance where there is a single lane on each side, but that actually only takes up three blocks of the entire plan. 99% of the plan in Salt Lake City is 4 lanes on one side, 4 lanes on the other, 2 lanes on one side, 2 lanes on the other. So we're decreasing our traffic on Main East by up to 50%. Salt Lake City is between 15 to 25% maximum for roadway.
For clarification, the LRT line as proposed,
Correct.
and there seems to be some conflict. Is there any LRT connection to GO Transit?
At this point in time, with the proposal that we have in front of us, a 2-block pedestrianized walkway, in our opinion, is not a connection to the GO.
Thank you.
So we don't really want to rely on empty promises and things in the future, because we know we're still waiting for 10 trees to be planted for every 1 tree that was taken off of the Red Hill Creek Expressway, and that still hasn't happened. And how many years has that been? So just saying, we need to attach ourselves to the GO today, not tomorrow.
Thank you.
Basically. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you stay a little longer? I now have a speaker's list.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Skelly, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Cheryl. Cheryl, do you have a business in the downtown core?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to gauge, and we've had a number of people prior to you being here, the King Street in the downtown feel about LRT, and I don't know if you've spoken to many or if you've gauged their support. Can you just give me your views as to what businesses in the downtown feel about LRT, how they feel about it? And I know that we've received confirmation from the chamber and other bodies that represent business, and they are very supportive of the initiative. I'm just asking you, as a person who has an investment, a direct investment, what your opinion is in terms of support by other businesses.
Predominantly, I would have to say the support is to oppose this plan. Out of probably 700 signatures on a petition that were done over, say, the 5-month period, there were maybe 10 people that were not interested in signing the petition. Interestingly enough, they don't really know much about the plan. They just think that we need new actually means for the city. Predominantly, residents in that area, Main Street East, are against it when they start learning more and more about the plan. So I would have to say, without a statistic, more than half would be against this LRT.
Thank you for that. And through the chair, my next question, and again, it's just your interpretation of your own personal experience.
Okay.
This is not a scientific study, but what is the biggest, or what are the main concerns of people who are opposed, the business owners who are opposed to the LRT?
That we can't afford it. That at this point, after 9 years of doing studies and trying to implement this plan and doing the research, we still don't have the operating costs. It's kind of like, purchasing a house and not knowing what the final cost is going to be, and then being surprised when you get the bill. Also, the fact that affordability, I think, we have, 56 group homes in the city in total. So there's a lot of people that would have an issue with affordability. The walking distance is being able to cross the street right down the center. I'm no longer able to go to the store across the street anymore, Mr. Mayor, because I have to drive an extra certain period of time, turn left at a major intersection, and then come all the way back down again. So that business across the street is going to lose my business because I may not have the time to go up and turn around and come back to go across the street. I think it's all about relationships, too, when you have a business. And regardless of how good your business is, you have to be pretty good to be able to survive with no transit in front of your store for a year and a half, or possibly longer.
Thank you for that. Through the chair, have you had any interaction with any of the business community in Kitchener?
Yes, I have.
And through the chair, in your experience, what are they saying about their experience with LRT?
Stop it.
Through the chair, why?
Because people are losing their businesses, they're losing their livelihood. Businesses are moving to Cambridge. There's huge class action suits right now currently going on in Kitchener-Waterloo, not only from the business owners, but also from the residents for infrastructure problems from the digging. I'm speaking to expenses, to the money and where that money is going, because you also have to pay for insurance claims, right?
Thank you for that. And through the chair, and all businesses love the LRT in Kitchener,
wow.
But you have spoken to these people directly,
correct.
And that is not your understanding.
I can text you their numbers if you'd like, or I could, unfortunately I've tried. There's 5 individuals. One person's lost up to $1 million. He said that he thought if he got away with losing $100,000, he would have been fine with that. But he's so out of pocket right now. But unfortunately, they're unable to speak because of the fact that they have conflict at this current time. So.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Madam Deputy Mayor. And Cheryl, thank you for coming in and for your thoughtful opinions and remarks. My intuition over the last few months, I've shared publicly on radio shows and that, is that there's a growing nervousness over this project across the community. Would you be, Madam Deputy Mayor, through to Cheryl, would you be somewhat reflective of that?
A nervousness?
Yes.
I just think it's an unknowing. I just, for me personally, and with a lot of people, how do you move on with a project when you don't know the costs? I mean, give us the number. It's going to cost more than.
Okay. Would you, secondly, Madam Deputy Mayor, you're asking for a pause, obviously, today after all the debates and delegations. Mm-hmm. You'd obviously not want us to move ahead, in your opinion, with the environmental assessment approval today, Madam Deputy Mayor, through to Cheryl.
Correct.
And lastly, Cheryl, then how would you ultimately, if you had the latitude, how would you like to see the $1 billion spent if the flawed plan went by the wayside? Madam Deputy Mayor, through to Cheryl.
I'm not a planner, in all due respect. I'm not an architect. It should be, because that would be foolish. It took 10 moment in time. I have my own ideas. I do that drive to Toronto, and I tell you, a 2-hour drive for a 55-minute drive is just over the top. That to me is concerning. Give us a fast train from Hamilton to Toronto that gets us there in 25 minutes, and watch the number of people that leave their cars off of that highway road, which is really what you want. I would be the first one on it. So
I think you started to answer my $1 billion question and how you'd like to see it spent instead.
Well,
so, Cheryl, much appreciated. Thanks for your time. Thanks, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no. I'm sorry, Councillor Green.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, as you know, we're here discussing the environmental assessment. Mm-hmm. What aspects or points do you have or concerns regarding the environmental assessment as it's presented today?
Basically, Councillor Green, the bottom line is that we need to know how much this is going to cost. We need to pause. We need to revisit what the citizens of Hamilton need and want. And I find it really difficult to continually say yes to a plan or a project when you don't know what the costs are. I mean, I don't do that in my real life. I'm sure you don't either. So there's something different that's happening here, and the citizens are basically asking to pull back.
Sorry, Madam Deputy Mayor, we're not debating the LRT here today. We're debating the environmental assessment. So I'm wondering specifically what concerns you have. You're very learned, Madam Deputy Mayor. You know, you've done lots of research. You've given us the points of opposition for lines and extensions,
yes,
costs. But today what's before us, as I understand, is the environmental assessment. So what specific points of concern do you have as it relates to the environmental assessment?
I'm totally for electric, but I have an issue with the fact that we don't have the costs. And at that point, until I get the costs.
So costs are not a part of the environmental assessment.
Well,
and I'm sure in later
Councillor.
presentations. It's not. We're not in the U.S. It's not television.
Point of order. Question. She said that we shouldn't vote on anything until we know what the costs are. That's the answer to why she
That's
made the
not a point of
presentation.
order, Madam Deputy Mayor. That's not a point of order. If I could please.
Councillor, can you change your question, please, so that it's a question that isn't asking the same question again?
I think it. I mean, I asked the question and there wasn't an answer presented. So, you know, the presentation on the environmental assessment, Madam Deputy Mayor, is what I'm interested in terms of getting keen on what people's concerns are. Otherwise, Madam Deputy Mayor, we're just in a situation of filibustering and trying to drag this on and just, you know, spin. And what's before us today in the process of where we're at is implementation of which,
Councillor, you're debating. You're not asking questions.
I'm not debating. I'm answering your question.
You're debating and you're not asking questions. So we're going to move on. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
On the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.